Hi folks, Rick Berube here with Mumm, and today we're going to be talking about time management and eliminating distractions, which honestly is kind of important.
Yeah, it's the biggest challenge that we're dealing with right now.
Well, since you're doing it every day, tell them, give us an idea. What's one of the most important things for you as far as those two categories? They kind of go together.
Yeah, no, they definitely do. So I think we talked about this before, but I honestly thought it'd be a lot easier than it is, which is surprising for me because I'm usually pretty disciplined and I have structure in my life, and it's been a really, really big challenge.
Right.
And as far as why it's important, I think I talked about this on the last one, but they do studies that show that people who have depression and anxiety improve their condition by having more structure in their life. Like having more structure makes things
Totally
better.
agree.
So not only is this important for your business, but since we just talked about mindset, it's really, really important for your mindset. If you're struggling right now and you're kind of in a bad mood a lot because of what's going on, that's understandable. But having more structure and really working on keeping your time structured will really, really help you. So that's just speaking to why it's important.
Yeah, it's funny because that book we were talking about 2 days ago, Flow, he talks about that. He's a professor or a doctorate in something. Chick sent me high, and it's actually true. The more when you if you do something and you lose time, 30 minutes go by, whoa, that means you're in flow doing something. And it's really tough to get in flow unless you can almost go on autopilot. So creating these habits and disciplines as part of your schedule allows you to do that, which allows you to enjoy the process. Look at, all of us need to create habits and disciplines, like Dan just said, and Dan being super analytical, he thought it'd be easier. I mean, it's tough to create habits, but you got to do it. But once you get through the uncomfortable phase of creating a new habit, new time blocks, so you can be less distracted, then it gets easier.
Yeah, so one quick tip that I just went over with my coach yesterday on our call, and I actually talked about it in a mastermind group too. One of the challenges is that you think having more time is good, but it's actually kind of a curse, because what happens is when you have more time to do something, it just doesn't get done, right?
Yeah,
So
you expand your time.
It's if you have a certain task to do and you have this much time, somehow that task just grows and grows to take up the amount of time that you have. So limiting your time to do things actually really, really helps. So one quick fix that I made was, my coach asked me what I was doing in the afternoons, and I said, well, honestly, I'm catching up on prospecting that I didn't get done in the morning because I was distracted or I had whatever going on. And he's like, stop doing that. He said, keep your prospecting just to the mornings between 7 and noon, and that's it. Because when you have the option of the afternoon, then it's like, in the morning time, oh, okay, well, if I don't get to it, I'm not doing anything today anyway. I'm not driving anywhere. I'm staying in my house all day. So if I don't get to it now, I could just do it later. Right. So that's just an example of that strategy and technique. I've used that a lot, where if you just limit your time to do something, it gets done faster. So I also do that with my admin time with my staff. Before, I used to just say, all right, well, we'll go over all of our files at noon, and whenever we're done, we're done. And then guess what? It would just grow and grow and grow, and it would never get finished.
Right.
So then I said, okay, well, let's start limiting it. First, we had an hour and a half, 12 to 1:30. Then from 12 to 1, now it's about a half hour, and now it should be even less than that. We could probably do it in 5 or 10 minutes a day.
And once you train them by doing this, eventually they stop asking you.
Right.
Which is one of my favorite days. I remember when that day happened. It took a while, though. Yeah, so I agree with everything you just said, and what you just described really was time blocking. You have a time block and you don't allow yourself. Plus, I smiled because when you said, I only allow myself between 7 and 12 to prospect. That's 5 hours. Mm-hmm. Most people are going, what? Right. You prospect 5 hours a day? Right. But you don't actually prospect that whole time.
No, yeah, there's breaks in there, and I don't start at 7. I have my role-playing practice, so yeah, it ends up being, I can usually get 3 hours in the morning.
That's perfect. So time management and creating distractions. First off, I have to say, in doing this, it's a decision you make. You have to decide, okay, this is important to me. And just, a lot of people, when I started in the business, everyone talked about their why. What's your why? It was like just coming out, 35 years ago. The why talk.
Yeah.
Right now, it's like everybody, I'll have a cheeseburger and what's your why? Today, it's, back then it was like, what's your why? And I remember being your age, and my why used to be, why not? It's available, right? Why settle for good when great's available? But I didn't have that burning desire, and I thought I was missing something. But you can create a burning desire by what Dan just described, by creating a routine. And I'm going to tell you, maybe I'm a slow learner. People say you can create a habit in 30 days. It takes longer than that for me. By the way, there's no scientific proof to back that. I looked it up because I thought I was losing it, but it's no scientific proof. But you're doing something now for a good quarter, like 60 to 90 days, 90 days, and you getting through that uncomfortable and creating it, all of a sudden you start looking forward to it because your brain, that is a tremendous computer, has unbelievable software and updates to it, but it also has old hardware. And that old hardware intuitively says new is bad, 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 dangerous, right?
Right. Yeah, and just to speak to the corollary, because some people like thinking about things more negative than positive, and that's okay. We're talking about what you should do. What you shouldn't do is just say, this is an extended vacation. I'm not going to have any structure or discipline in my schedule. I'm just going to kind of do stuff when I do it. And you don't want to operate every day like it's a Saturday in your old schedule, where it's just kind of like, oh, I'll wake up whenever, I'll get to stuff whenever. It's going to be really, really bad. You're going to get really stressed. You're going to feel very uncertain about yourself.
True.
Your business is going to plummet. You're not going to have any structure or discipline in your life, and everything's going to spiral out of control. So, and I noticed, not that I got to that point, but I noticed a negative change in the beginning because, it takes a while to establish the habit. Just now, I'm like, just starting to get the groove going of the consistency with my new schedule, and it's been, 4 weeks now?
Yeah.
And so you're right. I think it might take longer than 30 days, probably.
It's funny you say that because my new workout, I'm just starting to like it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that's unusual because I've been doing it for, like you said, 4 weeks now. Yeah, so, all right, so I love that, and it's all important stuff, and remember, it's a challenge for everybody. And what happens is, usually, and to me, it's like the third, fourth week, that's when you start feeling the resistance, and then once you get through, it's like it gets easier. It's like the old story about, when they broke the sound barrier, right, with the plane, and the plane's shaking. They didn't know what was going to happen. So when they heard the sonic boom, they thought the plane blew up. But what happens what is it, 702, 703 miles? It goes from shaking to smooth again once it gets through the sound barrier. That's kind of like when you create a new habit. That's an extreme example, but it's true. That's what happens.
Yeah, you have all the resistance in the beginning. That's when it's the hardest. And I think probably one of the biggest challenges for most people is the family, having their family around while they're trying to work and getting them on board. So this was always a challenge, right? You always needed to have the people that are around you on the same page as you, but now it's just exacerbated because now they're in the same environment as you. So now it's just, it's an opportunity to really hone it. You needed to do this anyway. You needed to get your family and your spouse and your kids on board with whatever your mission was. But now you just need to work on that even more because they need to understand what the boundaries are. And like you said, it's going to take those people some time to get used to things. But at this point, we're probably just starting to turn the corner, and they should be doing that.
Right, and here's what else I think too, that's a great point, is that kids that didn't like to go to school may like going now, right? And parents that, well, you know what, work's such a pain, but now I'm at home, I can't wait to get back to work and be around people my own age. And so I think we're all going to appreciate our lives more. And I agree with you too, I don't consider it a vacation unless I'm out of my zip code. So I can't have a vacation at home, it's impossible for me because of the way I'm wired. But
yeah, one other tip, just before I forget, I would also reduce whatever your prospecting goal used to be. I would commit to it and maybe reduce it a little bit just so that you can start getting in that habit of hitting it every day. So let's say
good idea.
You were thinking about trying to prospect 3 hours a day and now you're working at home and you're all over the place and you're trying to figure stuff out. I would just start by saying, I'm just going to make calls or do whatever my lead generating is for 2 hours and that's it. As long as I just do that, my job was done for the day. Start small and just start getting that done and start getting some consistency with that and then work from there. You kind of have to start from zero now because of just the amount of distractions going on.
And I was joking on one of my calls today too, totally agree. And I came up with a funny line called being held verbally hostage. That's when you you know what I'm talking about. You get on the phone and someone's just like, well, and they're not moving. Now, normally, I would cut that conversation short, but today I'd probably stay on that conversation because you're going to develop habits and make connections with people, and they're going to remember that you called them during this time too. So don't cut anybody off today. Let that conversation go for a while.
Yeah.
All right. So just to pull this all in, you're like, okay, I recommend every one of you do this, and if you take my success series, you know, I want you to, if you were exactly the way, doing the business you wanted, look the way you wanted, health-wise, spiritually, the money in the bank, okay, how you were from a mindset standpoint. Those are the big five I just went through, by the way, for me. Those are the big five, all right? Your business, your mindset, your spirituality, your health, okay, and what was the last one? Your family. Okay, those are the big five, your personal relationships, all right? And if you were to design that perfect person, what would that person look like? You. And then you have to have a schedule and a routine First off, you know where you want to be at the end of the year, which means you know where you need to be per month, which means you know what you need to do a week, and then you narrow it down to a day. And I call my daily schedule my daily business plan, because that's what it is. So once you come up with that, then all your job is to create the habits and the disciplines that you need to do to become that person. And the great thing is as you get close to that person, you'll change who that person is and keep upgrading that. Would you agree?
Yeah, completely agree. And then one other quick exercise, if you're looking for something you can actually do that helps, you could keep track for one day of just everything that you do on a minute-by-minute basis. That's during the workday. I think that's a really helpful thing because then it starts creating awareness about what you're actually doing and spending your time on.
Time and motion study.
And don't overcommit. Don't say I'm going to do this for a year. Obviously, it's not practical. Just do it for one day. Just say, hey, tomorrow, just bring a notepad with you, a yellow notepad wherever you go, and just say, hey, I'm just going to jot down everything that I do in the course of one day. If you do that, you'll be really surprised at how much time you waste. And just going through that exercise creates awareness in your brain, and you'll be more likely to do the right things, even permanently after you do it that way. That's kind of the same thing as tracking your numbers for your business, right? Like tracking your workouts. When you're keeping track of something, automatically it just improves because of the nature of you keeping track of it.
Absolutely. All right, awesome. Any final thoughts for these people about time management?
No, I just think it's the most important skill to work on right now. Everyone's going through the same challenge, and whoever comes out of it with the right skills and habits is going to be the people that succeed, really. And it's going to last, like we talked about, I think, on Monday. This will likely last a little bit longer, at least 60 to 90 days probably for most markets. So you need to start now. You need to start getting these habits in now, or else if you're waiting to get used to this, you're not going to be in a good position.
Right. You have to, let me tell you, in order to have a great pipeline, you have to have a great schedule. Because when this loosens, can you do business today? Yes, you can, under certain guidelines. Okay, just stay within those guidelines, be safe. But you can be anybody who is uncomfortable now. You're lining up your pipeline. Okay, remember I called that the first quarter, so you can cash in on the second quarter. For you guys, it's once this opens up, and life will get back to normal. Who knows exactly how long it'll take, but when you have a pipeline and you've developed all these things and you've used this time, because it's not a vacation, it really isn't. All right, so use it. Thanks, Dan, for your time. We'll be doing this again on Monday at 9 o'clock. You guys keep rocking, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thanks.